students. Today we'll analyze the poem Diving into the Wreck by Adrienne Rich, which is included in your 4th semester MA elective paper Theorizing Sexualities. First, let us have a look at the poet Adrienne Rich. She was born in 1929 and died in 2012. Adrienne Rich was an award-winning poet, a long-time American feminist, and a prominent lesbian. The Anthology of Modern American Poetry considers Adrienne Rich as one of the most widely read and influential poets of the second half of the 20th century. As a poet and activist, she was credited with bringing the oppression of women and lesbians to the forefront of poetic discourse. And being an activist, she talked on behalf of women and feminism. She was against the Vietnam War, and she also talked for the gay rights. Her first collection of poetry was titled A Change of the World, which was published in 1951. And Adrienne Rich's poetry came to be seen as feminist since the publication of her book, Snapshots of Her Daughter-in-Law, which was published in 1963. Now, more than the word feminist, she encouraged the use of the term women's liberation. She had received many national awards. For instance, she received the National Book Award in 1974 for her book Diving into the Wreck. And she refused to accept the award individually. Instead, she shared it with fellow nominees Audre Lorde and Alice Walker. And it is said that they accepted, all three of them accepted it on behalf of all the women everywhere who are silenced by a patriarchal society. Her works mainly explores female identity, motherhood, lesbianism, civil rights, peace, and the meaning of art. Now, regarding her personal life, she married Harvard University economist Alfred Conrad, and they had 3 sons. And by the 1960s, we see that the content and style of her poetry completely changed. For example, her collections like Snapshots of Her Daughter-in-Law, and there is yet another collection called Leaflets, that was published in 1969. And both these works, the content of both these works became increasingly confrontational. That means she started exploring themes such as women's role in society, racism, Vietnam War. All such issues came to be tackled in her poems. And it was in 1973 she wrote the collection Diving into the Wreck. Okay, and it was a time which was amidst of the feminist and civil rights movements, the Civil War, and even she also was in a personal distress because in 1970 she left her husband, and the very next year he committed suicide. So she was amidst all these problems, the feminist issues, the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, her personal distress. So amidst all these, she wrote the collection Diving into the Wreck. And you see, it is a collection of exploratory and often angry poems. And here we have a poem of the same name, Diving into the Wreck, which is taken from that 1973 collection. So we'll directly move on to reading and analyzing that poem. Diving into the Wreck by Adrienne Rich. First, having read the Book of Myths and loaded the camera and checked the edge of the knife blade. I put on the body armor of black rubber, the absurd flippers, the grave and awkward mask. I'm having to do this, not like Costo with his assiduous team aboard the sun-flooded schooner, but here alone. There is a ladder. The ladder is always there, hanging innocently, close to the side of the schooner. We know what it is for. We who have used it. Otherwise, it is a piece of maritime floss, some sundry equipment. I go down, rung after rung, and still the oxygen immerses me. The blue light, the clear atoms of our human air. I go down. My flippers cripple me. I crawl like an insect down the ladder, and there is no one to tell me when the ocean will begin. First the air is blue, and then it is bluer, and then green, and then black. I am blacking out, and yet my mask is powerful. It pumps my blood with power. The sea is another story. The sea is not a question of power. To have to learn alone, to turn my body without force in the deep element. And now it is easy to forget what I came for. Among so many who have always lived here, swaying their crenellated fans between the reefs, and besides, you breathe differently down here. I came to explore the wreck. The words are purposes. The words are maps. I came to see the damage that was done and the treasures that prevail. I stroked the beam of my lamp slowly along the flank of something more permanent than fish or weed. The thing I came for, the wreck and not the story of the wreck, the thing itself and not the myth, the drowned face always staring towards the sun, the evidence of damage won by salt and sway into this threadbare beauty, the ribs of the disaster curving their assertion among the tentative haunters. This is the place, and I am here, the mermaid whose dark hair streams black, the merman in his armored body. We circle silently about the wreck. We dive into the hold. I am she, I am he, whose round face sleeps with open eyes, whose breasts still bear the stress, whose silver, copper, vermeil cargo lies obscurely inside barrels, half wedged and left to rot. We are the half-destroyed instruments that once held to a course, the water-eaten log, the fouled compass. We are, I am, you are, by cowardice or courage, the one who find our way back to the scene, carrying a knife, a camera, a book of myths in which our names do not appear. So now let's look at the major themes that we can take out from this poem. On a literal level or on a very superficial level, we see that the poem follows a diver. It shows the preparation that a diver takes to dive deep into the ocean in order to see a shipwreck. But on a closer look, we understand that the poem is not simply about the process of diving or literally about diving, but it is a moral dive into the metaphorical wreck of the speaker's own life. She's looking at her own life, or maybe the life of women more generally. And then another theme that we can come up with is about women's rights and the individual journey of self-discovery. However, when you look at the structure of this poem, It consists of 10 stanzas, and each stanza is of different length, is of varying length. Some of them are 7 lines, some are 12 lines. Okay, and this poem is written in free verse. The poet does not use any rhyme schemes or meter or anything like that. The lines just come up as it is, or it just flows freely. Fine. Then she makes use of many literary devices like similes, alliteration, caesure, etc. Next, we'll move on to the stanza-wise analysis of the poem, diving into the wreck. Stanza 1. First, having read the book of myths and loaded the camera and checked the edge of the knife blade, I put on the body armor of black rubber, the absurd flippers, the grave and awkward mask. I'm having to do this, not like Costo, with his assiduous team aboard the sun-flooded schooner, but here alone. In these lines of the first stanza, we see a diver. Maybe it is the speaker herself. She's describing her preparation to dive down into the sea. She has packed everything that she needs. Now, the book of myths, it means there are many books that tell us about the wonders of the sea. So, after having read such a book, she got the inspiration to take that dive deep into the ocean, to explore what is there in it, to find it out for herself, to discover it for herself. So that is the inspiration that she states. And she tells us about the other things that she is taking along with. She is taking her camera, a knife. She's wearing that black rubber, that diver's dress, that body armor which is made of black rubber. Then the flippers. It is that flat rubber worn on the foot for swimming. You might have seen that. Swimmers wearing those flippers, especially for underwater swimming. Then that grave and awkward mask, that fully covered mask worn, or that helmet-like thing worn by a swimmer, especially again by an underwater swimmer, with all that oxygen pipe and all those things. So that's why she calls it an awkward mask. So I'll read those lines once more. First, having read the book of myths and loaded the camera. She's taking the camera along so that she herself can capture what she's going to find under the sea. Okay. And checked the edge of the knife blade. I put on the body armor of black rubber, the absurd flippers, the grave and awkward mask. Then she says, I'm having to do this, not like Costo with his assiduous team aboard the sun-flooded schooner, but here alone. Here Costo refers to Jacques Cousteau, spelling Jacques, Jacques Cousteau. He was a French oceanographer, dive master, filmmaker, etc. He was a scuba diver, and he made the first underwater documentary. So here the poet is telling the readers that she is not like Jacques Cousteau. She doesn't have a team, an assiduous team. Assiduous meaning very supportive, very attentive team. So she's saying, I'm not like Cousteau. I'm not doing this with the expertise of Jacques Cousteau, nor with the support that Cousteau received from his companions, from his team members. I don't have a whole sun-flooded schooner. Schooner means a ship. I don't have a ship and all those facilities and accompaniments, but here I'm doing it alone. So here, even though This is about the experience of an unprofessional diver who, under some inspiration, takes her first dive into the deep ocean. We can also take it like that. Take it like, as a woman, when you do something that women are traditionally not supposed to do, she might be alone in her ventures. She may not be supported by her family or friends or society. More than the support, it will be the criticism that will be surrounding her. So she will feel like she's alone. She will feel that solitude. Okay, so in that sense, we can also consider this book of myths as all those traditions and conventions or rules or do's and don'ts associated with women. So many myths associated with women, be it in Eastern society or in Western society. Women are supposed to fulfill the expectations of the society. Fine. Here, the book of myths can also refer to that, all those traditions and that ideal image that a woman is supposed to fulfill. So here the poet is surpassing all that, and she is going to take an adventure, take a risk, or explore something new that the others have not done. Okay, so you can take this as her venture into that unexplored territory. Maybe it is a venture about herself. She's trying to discover, explore more about the woman within her or herself. You can take it like that too. So that is the first stanza. Stanza 2. There is a ladder. The ladder is always there, hanging innocently, close to the side of the schooner. We know what it is for. We who have used it. Otherwise, it is a piece of maritime floss, some sundry equipment. Here she says, at the side of the schooner, at the side of the ship, there is a ladder. This ladder has always been there. It is hanging innocently, like an unwanted equipment or a very silly equipment. Nobody just takes care of or takes notice of that ladder. But even that ladder, according to the poet, has a purpose. It is not simply there. Only those who have used it will know what it is for. But to others, it will be a sundry equipment. Sundry means a very silly equipment, an unwanted equipment. So this ladder can mean anything in our life. It can be opportunities. It can be time. It can be the decisions that you take. It can be situations in your life, people in your life. That is, everything that is there in your life has a purpose. It will have an importance. Be it any person, be it any silly thing, someday, sometime, it will turn out to be useful to you. See, there will be many opportunities before us, but many of us fail to see that. That is why she says there is a ladder, and the ladder is always there. In everybody's life, there are chances, there are opportunities, there are situations, there are people. There is this very precious thing called time. We all have it, but the way we use it, that makes the difference. Some people consider all this as very sundry, very very silly. We take everything for granted. It is maybe the time, the people who support us, the people around us, the opportunities that come along. Take all this in a quite silly way. Only those people who have used it and who have known the value of it will understand the worth. Okay, so that is what she conveys through this stanza. That symbol, that ladder, is a symbol. You can use it both ways, to go up or to go down into the ocean, to dive into the ocean, to ascend or to descend. So any chances that come up in your life, it is you who decide that you can use it in whichever way you want. Okay, so that is stanza 2. Stanza 3. I go down, rung after rung, and still the oxygen immerses me. The blue light, the clear atoms of our human air. I go down. My flippers cripple me. I crawl like an insect down the ladder. And there is no one to tell me when the ocean will begin. So she is slowly starting her adventure. She is descending down the ladder. She's going down the ladder, rung after rung. Very carefully calculated, she takes each step and she goes down. She can feel the atmosphere around her. Her heart is pumping. She has this tension. She's a bit nervous. So she goes down. Then she says, my flippers cripple me. I crawl like an insect down the ladder. Feeling very uneasy. It becomes difficult with all those flippers and those that diving dress and that helmet and everything. She is not used to all this. She feels that her body is heavy. She because of all this weight, she feels that she's crawling like an insect down the ladder. She cannot move down easily. Okay, all these extra fittings and all these things with which she is not used to, it is crippling her body. It is like physically and mentally she is feeling very heavy, and she has to do this all alone because there is no one to tell me where the ocean will begin. There is no one to give her some assistance. There's no one to give her some direction or instruction as to what to do, how to be safe and everything. She has to do everything alone. She has to count on her own intelligence, her own instincts, her own gut feelings, everything. So all she has to do is she has to depend only on herself. There's no external force or external assistance from which she can get some support. Okay, so that's what you find in the third stanza, how she slowly, steadily, but again with a little bit of nervousness, how she descends into the ocean. Then stanza 4. First the air is blue, and then it is bluer, and then green, and then black. I am blacking out, and yet my mask is powerful. It pumps my blood with power. The sea is another story. The sea is not a question of power. I have to learn alone to turn my body without force in the deep element. So in this fourth stanza, we see that she is in the ocean. The air here refers to her surroundings, the water, the air around her, the water around her. It changes colors. First it is blue, then it is bluer, then green, and then black. The water around her, it starts to change colors. You can also see like from another world she is moving into another world. Okay, it is a transition from one world to the other, from land to water, like that. It's a transition. So the different colors, maybe the different new experiences, the different people, the different life situations, circumstances that she come across. It is a transitional phase. At first, she feels suffocated. She feels that she is blacking out her consciousness, or she is going to get unconscious. But slowly, she adapts she understands the beauty and wildness of this new world. Then she says, my mask is powerful. It pumps my blood with power. Okay, so she's carrying her mask, her oxygen mask. Even though it looks awkward, it is doing its duty very in a very well way. In a very well manner. So, be it the camera or the mask or the knife that she has taken along, all these equipment, all these are our own personality traits, maybe. So, in times of need, we use our own knowledge, our own talents, our own skills to move on. Okay, so the mask that pumps the oxygen, which pumps her blood, which gives her the power, it can be the strength within her which inspires her to move on. Even though she is in a new world to which she is not at all used to, new things, new atmosphere, new climate, new environment, everything new. But it is the willpower within her which is asking her to move on, which is inspiring her or motivating her to move on. It is giving her the strength to adapt to this new circumstance. Okay. Then she says the sea is another story. The sea is not a question of power. I have to learn alone to turn my body without force in the deep element. So the sea is another story. Means I am in another world. This is a new world. And here in this new world, she realizes that it is not the question of power or that helps you to live or to exist. But what is more important, I have to learn alone to turn my body without force in the deep element. That means in this new world, what I have to learn is to adapt, to accept, to move on, to live, to flourish, to find my own space. That is what I have to learn. So here maybe you can take it like this. You have this male-female dichotomy, this power struggle between male and female that has been existing since time immemorial. We have all these women's liberation movements and feminism and all those movements coming up. Now she has reached a point wherein she realizes that I have to stop fighting, but I have to adapt. I have to find my own space. I have to find my own strength. I have to explore myself. That's what women have to do. Instead of fighting for their needs, they have to prove how better or how far or how well they can perform in life. So for that, we have to understand ourselves. We have to explore and discover ourselves. That's what she is communicating to her readers. That's stanza 4. Stanza 5. And now it is easy to forget what I came for among so many who have always lived here, swaying their crenellated fans between the reefs and besides you, breathe differently down here. And now she feels more accommodated or comfortable in this new world, so that she has actually forgotten the purpose of her diving into the ocean. That's why she says, and now it is easy to forget what I came for. She feels more confident, more comfortable now. And around her, she has seen many other people like her who have come here some long time ago, and now they have or they are part of that new world. They have started living in that new world. So that's the many who have always lived here. So there she met many people who were different from the ones she had seen in the other world. Now these people with their crenellated means little gaps along the edge. Okay, and fans can refer to the fin of a fish. So you can take the image of some fish-like or some under the sea creature, something like that. So altogether, the idea is that the people that she met in that other world, they were a sort of new. She haven't seen people like that. It's not the physical appearance that she's talking about, maybe the approach that she's experiencing from them. Maybe they are more accommodative, they are more encouraging, they support her. That's what she talks about here. Maybe she has never encouraged such a very supportive system before. You can also take it like that. See, at one point of time, the poet realizes that she is a lesbian. Maybe it is that transition that she is talking about. She realizes her sexuality, she realizes her identity, and when she mingles with people of her same sexuality, she is able to understand them or look at the world from a different perspective. She feels more comfortable and all that. You can take it like that as well, okay? Or it can be like any change in perspective that comes along in the life of any person. See, 10 years back, our thoughts, our thought process, our perspectives, our outlook towards life will be on a different way. But after 10 years, maybe the circumstances, the experiences, the people that we have met, all this might have influenced us in some way or the other, and the way we look at the world, the way we look at things, the way we look at life might have changed. Fine? You can also take it like that. So this is the transition that she is taking about. It's not like you travel from one planet to the other. It's not that sort of transformation that she's talking about, but this transformation, this realization can happen at any point of your life. That is it that she talks here. So she feels that here everything is different. At one point in her life, everything feels different. Everything seems to be different. The people, the society, the situations, everything. That's what she says. You breathe differently down there. So the world that she is experiencing now, that seems to be entirely different. So that's stanza 5. Stanza 6. So stanza 6. I came to explore the wreck. The words are purposes. The words are maps. I came to see the damage that was done and the treasures that prevail. I stroked the beam of my lamp slowly along the flank of something more permanent than fish or weed. So here, once she has become accustomed to that new world, she is reminded of her purpose, why she has dived deep into the ocean, for what she came here. All this is getting slowly clear to her. So slowly she realizes, I came to explore the wreck. So it's like the wreck can be anything like the remains of a ship, like Titanic, or something like that she might have read in the book of myths, that something very old and ancient and classical still remains under the water. So the wreck can literally mean something like that. Metaphorically, it can also mean she is going deep into herself. The ocean refers to herself. A discovery into herself, into her psyche, into her mind. She's trying to find out the wreck, the damage, the ruin that has been there in her mind. So the words are purposes, the words are maps. So she is going to explain it, she is going to find it out using the medium of language. So that's the power of language. In order to think or to dream or to retrospect or anything, you need language. There is nothing without language. Without language, you don't have purpose. These words or language guides you. That shows you the way, that is the medium through which you can communicate to yourself or to the world. So she's saying, I came here, I have delved deep into the ocean to see that ruin, to see that wreck, to see that damage that has happened, and also to explore what all treasures still remain. So in another way, she's looking into herself, her own mind, about all those past experiences, all those damaging experiences that she might have had in her life, and at the same time she's trying to understand what is left, what are the treasures within her, what are the talents within her. And I stroke the beam of my lamp slowly down the flank. So she has a lamp, a torch with her, and with the light from the torch, she's very slowly, very carefully, she's observing that flank of that ship, or maybe that whatever ruin, whatever wreck that she found underwater. She's slowly observing it very carefully. So that wreck, that ruin, it has been there for long. It is not something transient or transitory like fish or weed. It doesn't die out so soon. That wreck or that treasure that is there inside the ocean, or beneath, in the depth of the ocean, or the whatever it is within your mind that has been there, that will shape your character, that will shape your perspective, that will shape your outlook towards life, everything. So she is closely observing the wreck that is there underwater, or at the same time, metaphorically, you can see that she is closely observing her mind, herself, her inner self. Okay, that is stanza 6. Stanza 7. The thing I came for, the wreck and not the story of the wreck, the thing itself and not the myth, the drowned face always staring toward the sun, the evidence of damage worn by salt and sway into this threadbare beauty, the ribs of the disaster curving their assertion among the tentative haunters. So she is again stating it very clear that the thing that I came for, the thing that I came looking for, is the wreck. And I don't want to hear any more stories about the wreck. I just came to watch or to observe the damage or the wreck or the ruin that was there under the ocean. So she again reinforces it. I came to see the thing itself and not the myth. I don't want to hear any stories related to that wreck, that ruin, that damage, nothing. I came to understand it. I came to observe it for myself. I don't want to know anything else. The drowned face always staring toward the sun, the evidence of damage worn by salt and sway into this threadbare beauty, the ribs of the disaster curving their assertion among the tentative haunters. See, that is a beautiful image. It is an image of a wreck, maybe a deserted ship or a ruined ship, like the Titanic that you can see under the water. So even though it is damaged and ruined and remain only in parts, there is still a beauty in it. Even though it is just threadbare and worn out, only the ribs are remaining, there is still beauty in it. And you can also associate it with that of a woman. She's talking about maybe a woman who has gone through many hard experiences, many harsh experiences in life, past events, everything, which has damaged her self-confidence, which has tormented her physically and psychologically, many things. But still, despite all that damage, she still survives. She has survived all the tormentation that happened in her life, and she's continuing to exist. She's continuing to survive. You can see many women like that. Their head held high, their drowned face. That means there is sorrow. It is drenched with tears, but at the same time they are looking forward. They are ready to face the life with all the confidence. They will be worn out by tears and all those sorrows in their life. They will be exhausted, as I told, both physically and mentally, but still there will be beauty in them. They will be still haunted by the society or the patriarchy or many other things, but still they live, they exist. So she's talking about those women, those women. It can at once be a self-exploration, as well as she's looking up to the whole tribe of women. See, when you see a woman who has suffered a lot in life, there will be many stories. People will say she suffered because she has done something in her past, or it is because of her character, it is because she is such a bad woman. So many stories. People come up with a lot of myths as to why that woman is suffering. Right? Society will have so many stories to tell about her. So that is why she's saying, I don't want to hear any of such stories. I will explore, or I will understand, I will look at, I will observe that woman for myself. Or in the same way, I might have many past experiences which has damaged myself, which has damaged my confidence, etc. But people will have many other stories. People will never know what I actually felt, what is the real reason behind all my experiences, or why I feel so terrible in life and all those things. But people will have a different interpretation of my life, but the reality is within me. Only I know it. So that is why she's saying, I will understand it all for myself. I don't want to hear any of these stories. And she realizes that despite all the damage, despite all that has affected me adversely, there is still power within me. There is still strength within me. So like that, like every women, despite all the obstacles that they have gone through in their life, there is still vigor, there is still strength, there is still power within them to move forward. That's it. Next stanza 8. This is the place, and I am here. The mermaid whose dark hair streams black, the merman in his armored body. We circle silently about the wreck. We dive into the hold. I am she, I am he. And this is a very beautiful stanza where she is pushing aside the boundaries of gender. So she realizes this is that place which I had been looking for, or this is that point, or that destination where I have reached. And here I see the mermaid and the merman within me, or within every individual, be it male or female. It is a combination of beauty and strength. The mermaid whose dark hair streams black, the merman in his armored beauty. It is, armored body. So it is a coupling of that beauty and strength, the man and woman. We circle silently about this wreck, about the wreck. We dive into the hold. I am she, I am he. So within me, I have the man within me. I have the woman within me. So this is how she is pushing that boundaries of gender, like society has uh, given us very definite definitions as to what it is a woman and what it is to a man, and there you cannot mix up, or if a woman behaves like a man, or if a man or if a man behaves like a woman, that is mostly unacceptable in traditional society, right? So uh, she pushes all such traditional, or what do you call those stereotypical conventions, and she's saying within every person there is this combination of man and woman. I am at the same time, I am the he as well as the she. You can compare it with that Ardhanari Sankalpa in our Hindu mythology. Okay, so we steer this life together as male and female. At one point, you can take it like that, like within every individual there is the male as well as the female counterpart, or in this process called life, there is nothing like that conflicting male female dichotomy. It's not like that. She's saying both are important, both are equal. Together we cycle around this thing called life. Both are important, both are equally prevalent, both are equally significant. One cannot replace the other, one cannot be a substitute for the other. So that is a second interpretation. Another way of looking at this is that she is also looking at the queer identity, her lesbian identity. As I told you, that a strict compartmentalization of regarding gender, that is being erased. She's erasing that. There's nothing like that. There are people belonging to different sexualities, different sexual orientations. You have to accept it all in its own terms. Okay, so that's it. The eighth stanza. Stanza 9. Whose drowned face sleeps with open eyes, whose breasts still bear the stress, whose silver, copper, vermeil cargo lies obscurely inside barrels, half wedged and left to rot. We are the half-destroyed instruments that once held to a course, the water-eaten log, the fouled compass. So this is a continuation of the previous stanza. Here she says, as a unified gender, or both genders together, or she doesn't narrow down to the female gender alone. She is now talking in a general sense. She is including both the genders, or the whole human race, you can say. Here she is talking about all those people from the past. The people who were not lucky enough to survive the disasters in life. People who were drowned. People who died with a lot of hopes. People who died with a lot of frustration. People who died with a lot of pain and humiliation. People who suffered a lot. So she is using the images of a damaged ship which got drowned. All the silver and copper and vermeil and cargo, all the barrels, the structure of the ship that was rotting, the body of the ship, the instruments, the half-destroyed instruments, all the people who died in that disaster. So she is using the imagery of a damaged or a wrecked ship the people who died in the disaster, as well as the material destruction that happened to the ship. So all this is taken, and she is comparing that image with all the people who died, who lived and died in the past, maybe her ancestors. People who expected that life and society would treat them better, but that never happened in their life. People who suffered, people who couldn't express themselves, people who couldn't express their talents, people who couldn't get opportunities. So many, whole lot of generations that have gone before us, all of them carried this burden along with them into their graves. So that destroyed image of a ship, that hopeless, that barren image of that ship is equivalent to the mental trauma and frustration that the previous generation suffered. So that is the 9th stanza. Stanza 10. We are, I am, you are, by cowardice or courage, the one who find our way back to the scene, carrying a knife, a camera, a book of myths in which our names do not appear. So in this concluding stanza, she says that we all are actually in this process. It can be me, it can be you, it can be all of us. We all have all these tools within us, be it the knife, be it the camera, be it the book of myths, many things. All these tools that the diver used to explore the ocean. So just like that, we all have experiences, we all have intelligence, we all have the inspiration, we all have the will. Like there are many things backing us. So some of us may have the courage to take the dive. Some of us may not have that courage. Some of us may be cowards. So this dive refers to the self-exploration, the discovery of the self. So the point is, when she returns to that point, to that scene from where she started, it may be from the deck of that ship, she might see other divers ready to dive. Some of them may be so anxious, so curious, so excited to take the dive. Some of them may be backing out. They will be stepping back. So only if you take the dive, you will understand the new world, the new opportunities that are awaiting us. And the last lines are very beautiful. She says, a book of myths in which our names do not appear. See here, she says, we all might come across new experiences. We, at least some of us, might have the courage to take risk in life, take new adventures in life. Okay, but it is not that all our ventures will be appreciated. All that we do will not be appreciated by the world. Maybe many people will ignore us. Many people will not even know who we are or what we have done. So it is not for fame or any other material benefit for which we try out new things, or we take up risk in life, or step out from what is considered normal or standard by society. Okay, so the point is, don't go after fame or anything else, but do what you want, what you feel like, and in the end, explore life, explore yourself. Find the beauty, the willpower, the strength within you. So dive into that wreck. That means there is still beauty, even in a ruined state, even in a destroyed state. So find it for yourself and move on, live on. Okay. So that is this poem. Diving into the wreck. So you can take this as a poem wherein the poet claims for self-discovery. It can be the self-discovery associated with a woman or a lesbian or an individual as such. Okay, that's it.